February 11, 1990, after 27 years in the Victor Verster prison, Nelson Mandela was finally freed. It was the most striking symbol of the end of apartheid in South Africa. That day, the world was captured by his dramatic exit from the gates, with his wife Winnie. Although his release was a courageous political move, many racists saw it negatively, because they considered him a terrorist, and believes it is the day the country went to the dogs.
It is that terrorist Mandela, they let him out. Remember this day, boy. This is a day our country went to the dogs.
However, this served as inspiration for black people, who saw this as an opportunity to fight more for their rights, as for many years they protest his innocence, calling for him to be freed. This brought the country to the verge of a civil war. Mandela reacts with an inspirational speech, calling for everyone to lay down their weapons, because he believes that the nation should work together to achieve the greater good.
Take your knives and your guns and your pangas and throw them into the sea.
April 26, 1994, 4 years after Mandela's release, black South Africans were finally allowed to vote. This allows Mandela to become the first black president of South Africa.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, do hereby swear to be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
His position as president did not diminish his modesty. He continued to lead by example. Every day he makes his own bed, goes on his morning walk. He demonstrates care and compassion for his employees and takes the time to learn all their names and their family members. With Mandela being the first black president, he was constantly scrutinized by white people. One white newspaper continuously debates whether he is capable of leading the country, with most white people still unhappy with the election results, and in being president. His dream of uniting the nation now seems impossible. Among the people who oppose to Mandela are the parents of Francois, the captain of the national rugby team. Francois must put up with his dad's tirade about him losing the chance at a successful future now that black people control the government. Mandela observes that many desks are empty on his first morning at work, and that other employees are packing up. The white men are also gossiping about rumors of getting fired. Mandela calls a meeting immediately and declares that everyone is welcome to leave if they choose, but that no one will be dismissed because of their language, or the color of their skin. One of Mandela's first tasks is to assemble his security team, which needs more men now that he is president. Mandela insists on having both black and whites in the team. This includes hiring special branch police officers. The black guards reminded Mandela, these are the same men who recently attempted to kill them, so they do not support the idea. But for Mandela, if he wants a rainbow nation, this sends an important message to the public, as it shows an example of reconciliation and forgiveness and removes fear from white people. He sees forgiveness as a powerful tool.
Reconciliation starts here.
Reconciliation, sir.
Yes, reconciliation, Jason. Forgiveness starts here too. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear.
The black guards are still unhappy with this plan, but they are loyal and will follow Mandela's orders and will do as he says. So they train the new guards to take excellent care of their new president, showing them how to meet his simple demands, such as constantly smiling when they push the crowd back, and remaining calm and not aggressive towards civilians. The national rugby team called the Springboks was playing England. This was the security team's first complicated task of protect Mandela while he attended the match. The Springboks were predominantly white players, except for Chester, and most of their followers are against Mandela. The atmosphere is so tense, that black South Africans support England rather than their own team. However, Mandela has faith in his guards. At the match, Mandela ignores the chants and booing he receives from some people and stepped out onto the field to shake hands with both teams. To make a statement, he approached the crowd and expressed his gratitude and support for the white people who are waving the new flag. Before he could be hit by a cup thrown from the crowd by a hater, his security guards took him away. The Springboks lost the match, and were disappointed. The loss presents a dark future for South African rugby, because it was 1 year away from the World Cup, and South Africa are the host nation. To end the day on a bad note, TV sports commentator Johan claims that the Springboks walk away after 80 minutes with their tails between their legs, and have dishonored their country and do not deserve to wear green and gold. Even though he is just one man, Johan is very influential among sports fans. Without an explanation, Mandela was informed that his daughter called and cancelled her visit that weekend, when a poor black boy declines to receive a Springboks jersey as a donation because he fears getting beat up if he wears it. The Springboks reach rock bottom. This is the first time they have been painted in such a negative way. The South African Sports Council, which is predominantly made up of black people, meets the following day and decides to remove the name and color insignia from the Springboks, disregarding his secretary's warnings about the potential damage to his reputation. Mandela makes the decision to interrupt the council's discussion and makes a speech. He calls for support for the Springboks and provides examples from his own time spent in prison, where he studied the white men who had imprisoned him to learn how to defeat them. But they are no longer his enemies. They are meant to be a united nation. Taking the rugby team away, they will prove to the people they are savages, which they already believe.
I am aware of your earlier vote. I am aware that it was unanimous. Nonetheless, I believe we should restore the Springboks. Restore their name, their emblem, and their colors immediately. Our enemy is no longer the Afrikaner. They are our fellow South Africans, our partners in democracy, and they treasure Springbok rugby. If we take that away, we lose them. I know all of the things they denied us. But this is no time to celebrate petty revenge. This is the time to build our nation.
In the end, due to a single vote difference, Mandela's proposal was successful. Sadly, the Springboks also lost their following game. Mandela begins traveling to other nations with his message, including the USA, Japan, and a speech for the UN. On returning to South Africa, he continues his morning walks. As always, he asked how his guards' families were, but when one of his new bodyguards asked him about his family, his mood soured. He got upset and returned to the house. His experienced black bodyguard had to explain to the new guy that he is separated from his wife and kids. Mandela later found some big news in the paper while having breakfast. The country crime rate is rising, and the coach and manager of the Springboks confirms Francois is staying as a captain. This news pleases Mandela. A short while later, in the office, when he receives his first paycheck, he is astounded by its amount. He therefore chose to give a third of it to charity. He hoped other politicians would do the same. Francois got a surprising invitation from Mandela to come over for tea and discuss the future of the Springboks. He agrees with Francois when he says that he leads by example, but he also emphasizes that the squad needs some motivation to work their hardest. After Francois departs, he concludes that the president wants him to win the World Cup. Later, Mandela arranges to see his daughter once more, but she interrupts him because she is upset with him for having hired the police who drove the family from their home while he was imprisoned. Afterward, Mandela makes a call to a sports specialist to get more information on the Rugby World Cup. After learning that the matches will be seen by billions of people, he devises a strategy to showcase South Africa as it truly is. The head of PR arrives with a major announcement while the Springboks are hard at work in training. All around the nation, the team will host coaching clinics in townships. The players are against the concept, but they must comply because Mandela gave the order and Francois, the team captain, is on board with it. The team visited one of the region's poorest communities the following day, to get the necessary dose of reality. Chester is recognized by the children who they will be coaching that day. They received him with tears. However, as the hours go by, the players and the kids enjoy themselves immensely. The team leaves a sign with Mandela's campaign motto, "One team, one country," before retiring for the day. Mandela later saw this coaching session on the TV and explained to his cabinet how it was equivalent to 100 speeches. As part of the campaign, the Springboks take off aboard a jet with Chester's face on it. At every airport, there are already more black fans waiting for them. Johan describes himself as cautiously optimistic. In order to properly meet each player, Mandela starts remembering their names. He even makes an appearance on the Johan program to support the national team. Francois tries to persuade his players to learn how to sing the national anthem correctly, because they typically only mumble the words when the Springboks run through the streets in the morning. He wants everyone to see them singing with a purpose. Sadly, the opposing players decline. The morning of the opening World Cup game, when visiting the Springboks, Mandela shakes hands with everyone and uses the appropriate names to wish them luck. Francois says that Chester is not present because he is hurt, and Mandela hands him a piece of paper with the poem Invictus that inspired him while he was imprisoned. Mandela watches the game the following day and rejoices with the crowd when the Springboks defeat Australia. Mandela attends a formal dinner reception later in the evening while the team celebrates in a bar. Francois points out that everyone still needs to get up at 6 a.m. the next morning. Francois leads them along a different route to the dock, from which they take a ferry to Robben Island, where Mandela served the first 18 years of his prison sentence. Francois visits Mandela's cramped cell and is astounded by the president's ability to spend so long there and still be able to forgive those who imprisoned him. The following morning, when Mandela's bodyguards went to pick him up for his morning walk, they discovered him unconscious outside his house. Mandela is unable to attend the upcoming game. According to the doctor, stress has finally taken its toll on him. But Chester does on his return from injury, and the Springboks triumph over Samoa in the subsequent matches against France, beating them in the pouring rain as Mandela conducts trade negotiations abroad. However, Mandela makes sure his schedule is clear now that the team has advanced to the finals, so he will not miss it. The semi-final match was lost by England. Thus, the formidable New Zealand All Blacks will face the Springboks. The following day, Mandela attends the game and enjoys himself to the fullest. The victories are having the desired impact, and the entire country is now supporting the Springboks. The result can be evident in the small gestures made by Mandela's bodyguards, who have begun playing rugby with one another and have left their cold anguish behind. And when Francois orders tickets for his family, he also adds one for the black housekeeper. After asking for a report on the All Blacks' history, Mandela realizes why they are so terrifying and starts formulating ideas for how to motivate the Springboks in a manner comparable to the All Blacks haka. The morning of the last game, the Springboks go for their final run, and the entire neighborhood comes out to express their support. The child who declined the jersey is among the many individuals of every color crammed into the stadium. The bodyguards are especially cautious during their patrol due to the large crowd, but they become alarmed when an airplane begins to fly dangerously close to the stadium. Johan is now there to speak about the team in a much more positive way. Luckily it was a false alarm. The plane only flying so low to display a good luck message from the president before continuing safely on its way. The crowd responds well to the gesture by giving the Springboks a standing ovation when they arrived. Once more Mandela arrives on the pitch to shake hands with each team, but this time he has abandoned his neutral outfit in favor of a green one. The national anthem, which the Springboks are finally able to sing correctly, is followed by the start of the game. The All Blacks are a very difficult opponent and easily gain a point advantage. Francois, however, modifies the team's plan accordingly. The Springboks eventually tied the game. While the score is still 9-9, the main match time runs out. Therefore, an additional 20 minutes are added. Even though everyone is worn out, they all give it their all, and 5 minutes before the game's finale, the Springboks manage to turn the tide. They then use the remaining time to defend their position, which turns out to be the best course of action. The entire country celebrates the Springboks' victory after the referee calls them the new world champions. Many people give each other bear hugs, no matter what color their skin is. Francois receives the massive trophy directly from Mandela, and they shake hands while expressing gratitude to one another for their contributions to their nation. Following the celebration, Mandela's car was stopped in traffic due to the large turnout. Nevertheless, Mandela instructs his driver not to take any other route because he wants to take part in the unity, as never to be seen before the nation of South Africa celebrates together as one. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. That concludes the recap of the movie Invictus, released 2009. Thanks for watching.